Welcome back into NSN tonight. Shannon Kelly joined via Zoom with Lauren Green, former Nevada track and field star, now sideline reporter and host with the Utah Jazz. Lauren, congrats on the new gig and thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. No, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
So you grew up in Albuquerque, you came to Reno, you starred with the Wolfpack, then went back home for a little bit, worked in local TV and
Yeah.
news and did some sports, and then this gig comes along. Just tell us, how this opportunity came about to work in the NBA.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's always been a dream to work in the NBA. If you ask any of my journalism professors, I think back in Nevada, like Paul Mitchell or just different anybody there, everyone knew I always wanted to cover basketball, but specifically the NBA. So it's always been bucket list for sure to be like, okay, I have a lot of interest, but I know sideline reporting in the NBA is definitely on there, and it kind of happened a little earlier in my life than I think I had originally not planned, but than I had anticipated, which I'm super blessed for. But was really just a job offer I saw posted. A lot of people ask, "How did you?" Well, I'm like, it was just online, and I applied, and then I hammered it from there. Though I just studied a lot and did everything I needed to just make sure I nailed my interviews and things. But it's been an awesome opportunity so far. Really a blessing.
So the season about halfway through, just what's it been like to adjust going from working in local TV? You worked the morning news a little bit. You were a weekend anchor in Albuquerque, then transitioned into sports. So what's
Mhm.
that adjustment been like going from the local to working for a team?
Well, it's completely different, right? Just the pace of everything. But what I will say is working in local news prepared me for a lot of the things I do now. It's what I call the boot camp of my life, that you learn how to, you learn all the TV jargon and you learn how to work really hard and kind of this grind of what goes into everything, especially as a sports anchor. Eventually, you're doing everything. You're cutting video, you're recording, you're writing, you're presenting yourself these stories. So that all really helped me to get where I am now. And now being back or in a team, since it's like, okay, I'm only covering one sport, I get to really dive into learning more about the players, our coaching staff, the whole organization in general, but also I think working back with the team now, it's kind of reminds me of being back in college when I was on a team. Um, it has that same feeling. So I feel like you mix my like former athlete experience in college with being in local news, and you kind of like put it all together, mix it together in a giant pot, and it kind of prepared me to be like, oh, this is the perfect mix and mesh of everything, to be here. Now it is like you mentioned, halfway through the season. So we're getting through, or like we're past that point. So it's a grind for sure, but I'm learning and I'm chugging along every day. I'm trying not to hit that rookie wall that everyone keeps telling me about, but I'm an athlete through and through, so I'm trying to almost compete with myself and just keep pushing myself past limits to just keep going. But it's been great.
Well, speaking of being an athlete here at Nevada, you've come across some former Nevada athletes, Caleb and Cody Martin. So that was probably pretty surreal just being on the same floor as them before a game.
Oh, it's very, very surreal. I mean, first even watching them get to where they're at, that's been really awesome to see. But yeah, I knew them back at Nevada. They were always some of the nicest people I remember ever meeting, not just with me, but how they treated everyone on campus. And yeah, I briefly saw them in the season so far for our first matchups against Philly and Charlotte so far, but got to chat with Cody a little bit and was just like, hey, like this is so cool seeing you here. Was one of my first interviews in college for a podcast that just happened to be about the NBA. And I remember asking him questions about that in study hall where I did the interview with him. And then, so yeah, thinking about that moment to now, like, we're both like, he's on the court and I'm, at the scores table where I was sitting at the time. And it's like, wow, it wasn't that long ago, but it's like, wow, this happened like really fast.
Right. Yeah, it really wasn't that long ago.
Mhm.
You graduated from Nevada back 2021. That was your final season competing with the Wolfpack. When you look back at your time from Nevada, you mentioned how it's like being a part of a team again. Just how do you feel like your time here helped prepare you now as you've gone on to this next chapter of your life?
Yeah, I mean, I tell everyone, even before I even made it to this chapter, but for everything I do, being a collegiate athlete, being an athlete in general, but a collegiate athlete changed my mind and how I operate. Um, just like about hard work, when you think you're working hard, there's always like a different level of knowing how to break those barriers. And Coach Twigs, who's still there with Nevada, and I'm still in contact with her. She's amazing, but she pushed me past certain things, past certain boundaries, certain limits, just to hit goals that we wanted to hit together. Um, and that has helped me in times where I think I'm stressed out, maybe at work, and I'm like, nah, I can always keep going because I know how to push my mental capacity to that. I'm like, I used to have to do it with my brain and my body. Now it's just my brain. So there's so much you learn about being a diligent worker as an athlete, especially in track. And I think all sports, but I think I can speak for that sport specifically when it's more individual, when you're not on a relay and you're stepping on the line by yourself. You learn that everything falls back on you. And it's all about the work that you're putting in. So I think that translates into everything I do nowadays, and it makes work fun. It makes me push myself.
Well, your name is still in Nevada's record book for the 400-meter dash, still in the top 10 in Wolfpack school history. But to work alongside the Jazz play-by-play voice, Craig Bowler-Jack, color commentator, Earl Bailey, just what have you learned from those guys with their amount of experience in this league?
Well, they are true professionals, and they've taken me in so seamlessly, just with open arms. It's almost been easy, just so easy to work with them. And I mean that in like the best ways. It's like we still push each other, we still do things, but they have given me so much advice, whether it comes to the broadcast or just how to keep going while we're traveling and we might get tired and things like that. They've been doing this for so long, and they're so nice about everything, but they're some of my favorite people. Like I couldn't imagine being in a better position than I am now. It's just been seamless, working with the group I do.
In honor of Black History Month, as a woman and a woman of color in a male-dominated field, just how do you hope to help inspire the future generation that they too can do what you're doing?
I think it sounds cliche, and this is something I take from even other people's interviews or people I look up to, either in this business or in other businesses. But if you really put the work in and you have a passion for something, you can really accomplish like so much. And that again, it sounds so cliche, but there are times when I look back at college and people were doing other things, or make not even no one ever made fun of me. I wouldn't even say that, but people were confused, I think, about like, well, why is she doing this? Or like, how is she doing, like, why is she doing that? Or why is she going like to do this? Or all the little things, small things, reaching out to people, going to grab coffee with people. Like they might not sound big in the moment, but if you put all the small things together, it's funny. A lot of professional players in our interviews lately, they call them stacking days, right? Where you stack these days, you continuously stack, stack, stack all this work. And it might seem small, but eventually that will come back. All that hard work will. And it shows no matter where you're at, where you're from, who you are, you can accomplish so much. And there's still so much that we don't even know we can accomplish it. I think there's so many walls still to be broken. And yeah, being diligent about it is what will help.
Second half of the season is almost here. Just what are you looking forward to most these next couple of months?
Yeah, I think it's this is the point of the season where it's not just players and coaches who get you have to turn it into another gear. I think it's for me. I'm looking to keep pushing myself creatively with our team this year. So now I feel like okay, first half's done. I've kind of got the ropes. I know what's going on. Now it's like okay, how do I make things different? How do I make things stand out for our organization? The Jazz, everyone I work with here, top to bottom, is amazing. And I work around just a lot of hardworking people in every aspect. Our social media team, our coaches, our players, our broadcast team, everyone is just works hard. So it makes you realize, like, you just kind of fall into that rhythm. And so to just keep pushing myself and adding on to that dynamic that we do have here, because that's probably my favorite part of being with this organization, is just the drive everyone has.
former Nevada track and field star and sideline reporter for the Utah Jazz. Lauren Green, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us.
Oh, thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
We'll have more of NSN tonight right after this.